Okay, so try number 2. So, I know in one of my last few videos, I mentioned the whole thing of like this quote unquote documentary interview channel interviewing these two boys who are like 16 and 18 or 16 and 17. It was one of those. And somebody had left a comment and they were like, I would hate to live off the last little bit of my teen years homeless. And I didn't really think much of that comment till literally in like the past, I could really say 2 weeks. I mean, of course, like, I didn't think much of it, because this was like it was probably over a year ago when I saw it. I didn't think much of it because, like, of course, when you're out here, if you were kicked out, you ran away, or you are in foster care, or where, you know that being out here is safer. Well, that kind of depends because still recording. Okay, so anywho, to get back to the point. Dang, I'm choking. To get back to the point, I haven't I didn't really start thinking about all that stuff till recently. When it comes to the whole, I would hate to live off the last little bit of my teen years homeless. And I think it also goes into like the whole thing with the street kids aren't seen as kids and you're only a kid if you're somebody's kid thing. Because like I was saying, even months back, finally actually realizing that I am a kid, even though I feel guilty and like I feel guilty in saying it because I don't really know how else to describe it. Like, and I'm not talking about the insults that I get all the time about how you're a quote unquote child and need to go home, but I mean actually realizing recently that I am a kid and I have been this whole time is probably like, I would honestly say it's probably a worse realization that I've had than even anything else I feel actually. And I don't even really know how to put it. Like, throughout all the things that happened during and before my abuse evidence videos, or just I guess I could say throughout the abuse situation, like I really feel like recently realizing that I am a kid has been probably the worst thing that's happened. And unfortunately, due to the sexual predatory reasons, and then people who just want to pretend otherwise to make themselves feel better about not doing whatever I guess they feel like they should be doing to quote unquote help, which I don't trust any of that crap anyways. Of course, people are gonna constantly try to convince me otherwise, and I just like, especially also with the minor crisis thing, that doesn't help. But I already have like a whole playlist about the Geronophile agenda and the minor crisis, which goes hand in hand. But I'm not even going to go into that, but that doesn't help either. But yeah, so pretty much, even before I really recently realized that I'm a kid, I already was, I had been having a midlife crisis since 14. Anyhow, I already knew my life was over before 10. And what was the other thing? I know I mentioned in some video how like I went to the skate park a couple times hoping that maybe I'd meet somebody, like some teenagers or crap, I guess anybody, and like not be too scared to talk to them, because I've already been in a lot of isolating situations. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, well, how do I even put this? I know I already talk about all the time the whole thing with like nobody really wants their kid around the homeless person. Then like there's this one girl, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if this is a friend from her school or if this is a relative. I'd assume that it's a relative unless her family doesn't know that the girl's homeless, because I know most people wouldn't even want to let their kid go hang out with this girl and her mom who don't have a house, and she's just gonna be like sitting around in the hot sun all the time. Because I mean, it's really unfortunate because it like puts the kid in a position to not really be able to have friends, even if they are good at making friends. Which makes me think back to my sister and even my brother, like near the end before I escaped, but especially my sister, because like she was the one that was always good at making friends. And I remember like she had started making rich friends that would buy her food and stuff. And I remember my mom's boyfriend got mad about it, and he was like, she's getting to go out and do stuff and get food and all that bull crap. But anyhow, the point is, like, I still have plenty of videos of actually on the abuse evidence channels, or at least the ones that I can get back into, since my other phone got stolen those couple of days ago. Bull crap would always happen where friends were over, and it's just like sometimes being homeless isn't an abuse situation, but just having a bad situation can like screw up like friendships and stuff. And like I know in my specific situation, in my sibling situation, like I don't know why they would bring people over to witness and be abused. To be honest, it never made sense. But they lost a lot of friends like that. Except that one boy that was just really desperate, and I guess he was in his own similar situation. Well, actually, really, he had a single mom, so I just think that he was being neglected so much, he didn't care if he had to come to somebody's house and get beat on and starve with them to say he had friends. But, anywho, what else was I going to say with that? Oh, yeah, and then it makes me think back to that one story from I think the our CPTSD support group, with the guy who was talking about how his dad was a pedo and he was never allowed to have friends because nobody wants their kid around the molested kid. But I mean, crap, most people get SA'd anyways, just about. So, but it's still like people, when they know your situation, they're typically not really gonna like want to come around and want to let their kids around you, which can go back to the whole thing with the street kids aren't seen as kids, and the nobody wants the homeless quote unquote woman or man or whatever around their kid, and then even if they're years older than you as well. But anywho, the main point is that, so similar to the skate park scenario, I started thinking, no, yeah, I started thinking about like, where could I possibly go to meet people that are my age instead of like constantly being in like surrounded by chomo old guys. Not that that's necessarily a choice, but they're just in the environment. And that's, I mean, crap, half everybody is at least in a fibophile or hebephile. So chomo old guys, and toxic older people, just people that know my situation, so like they don't want to interact with me. But it's like, I mean, crap, even the people that come to mind when I really think that they're like grown people anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So pretty much like I was thinking, what's a good place to like find people around my age, but like with similar interests, or maybe even not with similar interests. It didn't even really matter. So I asked these people that work at this restaurant, because they're one of the few people that like are willing to interact with me, which I'm not even gonna go into that because then I'll be way somewhere else. And because they're like young, they're older than me, but they're still young. And I asked them like if they know about any rock concerts or places to like meet emo or goth people or people who like video games. Although I know the video game thing is still like, it's really iffy with my situation because for one, during like the highlight of my abuse situation, when I got the brain damage and stuff, like I didn't really have the attention span for like video games, but then also just with different things in my situation now and before escaping, like I mean obviously I'm not really able to play video games like I may want to. Like I mean I guess I could play Roblox on the library computer, but anywho, so yeah, still I mean I feel like if I could find an environment with people who like video games, they'll probably like other things I like. And so this one boy had told me about this one concert, and to make a periodically long story short, I was really procrastinating about well I didn't even have the money at first actually. I had to scrape up the $20. Like I was procrastinating about even like seeing how much it cost, and I was procrastinating once I saw the price, and I was like, well, should I use this money for like food or for should I save it? Because I really would rather save it, or should I just like get the ticket? And then I also kept telling myself that I needed to actually make sure I knew exactly what day it was, because like for one I want to make sure the concert's actually a day where like the bus is running. And to make a long story short, I'm trying to not go too all over the place. So on the 25th, because it might be way somewhere else. Pretty much I thought it was yesterday, even though like I kept reminding myself that it was the 27th, but then somehow I thought it was yesterday. And I already knew that it started at 9 p.m. because I had checked like some days ago. And so I already knew that like the bus stops running by that time anyway, so if I go I'm gonna have to sleep outside, which I mean I do that every day for years anyways, even before even when I was still living with relatives. So I mean it didn't really matter I guess. But I was gonna have to like shelter in place like somewhere in the area or wherever's walking distance, and I wasn't gonna like have my sleeping bag and stuff, which is too hot for that. But the mosquitoes, I thought they would be an issue, but they really weren't. But I ended up going to the place, and then the lady was like, that's the wrong ticket. And then I was like, dang it, hold up, wait a minute. And so I was like, pretty much that's when I started splitting, but it was kind of whatever though, because like, I don't know what I expected, because I already like planned to shelter in place, I guess, as I could call it anyways. But I feel like it's always really triggering because like I mentioned in other videos, and I actually still have access to the channel with these specific videos on it that I think I called the what did I call it? I titled the videos the stranded at the library situation or something. I actually had a dream that day that like I really want to write a book about. It was actually really interesting. That's kind of besides the point. But that's how I remember the day. I think it was 10 something 22, I think. It's written down somewhere. But I have a lot of videos from that day and the next day still, because pretty much the public transportation there was whatever, but I didn't have bus money. There was no bus stop. it's hard to really walk places where I was living at the time because there was no sidewalk either. And they said like a couple years ago that they were gonna like do this multi-million-dollar operation to put sidewalks down. I wonder how that's going, but anywho. So yeah, I was pretty much just stuck at the library. That's when I actually learned that learned that libraries have like rules and laws put in place where they're supposed to like call the police pretty much if somebody who's under 18 is like left stranded at the library and they don't know where their parents are or when they're coming back. But luckily I was able to get around that. But it's still like what was I about to say with that? Oh yeah, but one of the things about that is that when you're already in a bad situation, it's already really like scary being at risk of somebody calling the police, cause like the quote unquote fake care, and also just like their job rules, cause it's like luckily they didn't get called, but if the police would have got called, that would have like caused so many more issues, and this was already really close to the whole thing with the CPS case where they snitched about the 1,950 plus abuse evidence videos. So like the house was still like really I mean it was always chaotic, but it was still really more like walking on eggshells just because well I mean crap, but that was 2/17/22, but this was like I didn't even mean to say 10 to I meant to say 8 to or something like that because it was in August. And I don't even think that was 2022. I think that was 2023. Because I know I had escaped and then I had got locked up and sent back, which I still have videos of that long story. And then I left again. But either way, it doesn't even really matter. Like, so there was that situation. There was also a lot of other situations where I would just end up stranded places, to make a long story short. So it's like I'm used to it. I mean, crap, even like I could think back to like the elementary situations of just not getting picked up from school, but that's still kind of different than like actually being stranded like at a shopping center or a library or something and knowing you're gonna have to like sleep outside. So like I'm pretty used to that type of stuff anyways. It even makes me think back to something that I always mention. People think that like um escaping an abuse situation or getting kicked out or just being in CPS custody and having nowhere to go and being quote unquote homeless is like necessarily the bad thing, but it still always goes back to the fact that nobody cares and that you don't have anybody, because like the things that are always going to be the main issues revolve around not having anybody. Like I know in some video I mentioned how like somebody carrying a bunch of groceries by themselves, or even not even a lot, but just like walking a long distance with groceries can like be a target and a symbol to predatory people. And that could be whether you're a man or a woman, but especially if you're a woman or if you're just a kid. So like I know I've mentioned before just like situations that I could end up in behind something like that just revolves around not having any help. Or even crap, I know I'm this one lady who's always talking about some. Pretty much, she claimed she was gonna adopt me. She was already toxic, but she just wanted to use me as a punching bag and an emotional therapist that's unpaid. Where she would threaten to drive us off a cliff while crying and stuff. But she claimed she was gonna adopt me, and now she just claims that she ghosted me because she can't quote unquote watch me suffer. Which there's so much I could say about that, but she was also always trying to project a lot of her emotions onto me that have nothing to do with me or my situation. But either way, another thing that she said once is that she feels like the only reason that I don't see anything wrong with my situation is because one, I'm still a kid, like I'm a newborn or something, and then two, that I'm used to being broken poor and I've been broken poor my whole life. Which there's a lot that I could even say about that, but I mean, I don't even really know though. I know that like there was a lot of starvation abuse even before I escaped, and that didn't really have anything to do with being poor, but like it did cause me to be more used to not always getting to eat. But I mean, crap, I get to eat more out here than I ever did living with relatives, so I don't know. But I guess I could kind of see that like for example, until my mom had robbed me and my dad, another long story. Like, wait a minute. When she did that, she was able to get a car. And her boyfriend was able to get a motorcycle, but he claims that it was his own money, but that's a whole nother story, I guess. So the point is being used to not having a car. And then my dad's mom helping him get a car so she can keep him in her little sick emotional incest rabbit hole. Another story. But something like that, like I could see how like being used to having to walk places could, like, because of being broke, I guess, could be another reason that I'm used to things that she feels like I shouldn't be used to. But I mean, so many people live their whole life like that, but I don't even really know what that has to do with me anyways, because I can't drive or get a car, so I don't know. So I mean, I feel like that still just mainly goes back to not having help, but I know that I could do what everybody else does and just find a chomo that can teach me how to drive, but I would have to find a chomo with a car, because none of the ones that I know have cars. So, like, but that still wouldn't mean I'd have a car, so I don't really know. But hopefully that made some type of sense. But I mean, I could kind of see what she meant by that, like, by the whole quote unquote, the only reason that you don't see anything wrong with your current situation is because you're used to being broke. Although it's definitely not that I don't see anything wrong with it. Which reminds me of another thing that I wanted to say with this. After I finish the last thing I was supposed to be saying about the concert ticket. So back to the concert ticket. With that whole situation, another thing with that is that so it was kind of hard to find like a spot like last night. I had to do a little bit of walking because in the first spot the police showed up in like 2 seconds, which I guess they have a camera, but like apparently when I walked over there they weren't fully closed, or like there was one staff member still in the building. But I don't really like that spot anyways, and then I'd rather be like somewhere close to a place that's open later and has a bathroom, because like due to all the health issues I have to pee all the time anyways, and then I don't have my pee funnel, and there's some other stuff with that, and that's not like a wooded area, so that wasn't about to work. But the funny thing is, the cop, when he got out the car, I had already got up to walk away because I didn't have time for getting cursed out or sexually harassed or threatened and all that stuff. But when he got out the car, he started peeing. And it's like, see, but if I was to pee right now, not like with the pee funnel, not like getting naked or something, but if I was to pee right now with the pee funnel, I'd be charged and in jail, and I'd be on the sex offender registry and all types of crazy stuff, which is very absurd with the fact that so many of the guys around here are attracted to their own kids, and there's just like so much crap. The women, they've been like in their own sons for forever and a day. That's a big thing with women. They like their daughters too, but it's very obvious that like a good majority of women like their own sons. But anywho, of course they're never going to get charged, because at the end of the day, grown-ups can do whatever they want to do, and the laws are made by abusers anyways. There was other thing with that. Oh yeah, so then anywho, I walked from that spot, and I walked like a while up the road, and I found a spot, but then it was still too open. Then I found another spot, but then after a couple hours, I got bit by a couple mosquitoes, but honestly, it wasn't even that bad. It wasn't like my usual spot. Or, well, the spot that I started sleeping in when it rains. It wasn't like that. So then I went to like this other spot, and then the police didn't show up to say anything till 5 a.m., but I thought the bus started running at 5. So I was gonna try to get on the bus to like go back to my spot to change in my shorts instead of my pants. I started wearing my pants, even though like I hate wearing jeans, because like it helps me not get bit up by mosquitoes on my leg like all day and night, or more so all night. But it's still too hot for that, and I already can't really control my body temperature. So what else was it with that? But then like I thought about it though, going back to the concert, and I was like, now to think about it, the bus doesn't run on Sunday. So if I try to if I try to go there to hopefully maybe meet people my age instead of being around a lot of risky old people, then like I'd be stuck out there not just tonight, but I'd also be stuck out there tomorrow too, because the bus doesn't start running again until Monday. And so then I realized that, and then like the bus drivers are pretty like this lady said, I don't really know how to describe it other than maybe overworked and tired. But this one lady says that like after they go around the same route 3 times, their brain turns to mush. So pretty much, like they often will like pass by people and not even stop, or they'll like look at people and not even stop. And I don't know, like they're thinking about other stuff, I guess, or they're too dissociated. Although one lady, I don't think she could really see that well. So they get reported for that a lot. So pretty much I was waiting from like uh more so I didn't see it till 9:30, but I waited from 5, and then I had to go to CVS, so then I waited again from like 8 to 9:30, but it felt like longer than that. I guess because I was waiting earlier too, and it's hot. And that dude did not stop at all whatsoever. So now I'm just starting to think about it, and it's like, crap, should I even still go to that place? Because it's probably not even all that worth it. But I don't know. I think it's like my last minute midlife crisis revolving around the whole screwed up, I don't know, just like wanting to do normal age appropriate things, but it's not really all that easy when you're like, when you just have like screwed up stuff going on. And just like wanting to be around and meet people my age, but they're not really working out because like too much mess that is happening and isn't happening that should be, and then not really having any help to do stuff. And then there was something else I wanted to say with it that I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, but it's also like, I mean, crap, if I paid $20 for it, then I need to figure something out and figure out how to go. But I don't really know, like, if I want to be stuck in this area like till Monday morning. That would also screw up some other stuff that like I have to do Monday, because if I have to go back to my spot or try to get on the bus to go back to my spot really early, or well, as early as possible Monday morning to like get my stuff to go shower by 10, I probably wouldn't be able to get on the bus to get back around here by 10 to go shower. And that's another issue that would come up if I like sleep wherever Sunday. And then also hoping to not get locked up either, because the police are in this area more anyways. And then the thing is, I mean, they do say stuff to other people, but one of the things is that like when you're like a kid, especially if you're like a girl, and also if you're like not somebody that people see as threatening, you're gonna get harassed by like police and just people that feel some type of way about you in your neglect situation. Like they're gonna have more crap to say to you about your situation, because they know that they can, because like I don't know how to explain it. Like if I was walking around like talking to myself with what's a good example? Like I don't know, if I just look scary and threatening that, and I wasn't a kid, then people wouldn't do and say a lot of the things that they do and say. Like I don't know how else to put that. Like I need to be like that dude from that one documentary that I watched when I was 8, and I watch it every couple of years actually. It's about street people and street kids in I think it was Romania. They're called like the mole people, which they have that in the US as well, but they call them the tunnel or sewer people in Arizona. But anywho, like he would walk around with like cans tied to his feet and stuff, and he said that he did it just to look crazy so people wouldn't bother him. And I guess I need to do that, but I don't know though, because I kind of feel like, especially once they send the National Guard and ICE out like they did when I was in Cali and like they've been doing in Washington and other places, I feel like if I walk around looking like that, I'll be the first person that they send to the slave camps or the insane asylum. But it could probably benefit me for like a little while, maybe. But now I'm trying to think, because I don't really want to play games with the bus, but it's too hot to like. Well, I can't walk to my spot because that's too far, but I do like want to go to the library. But I'm probably gonna have to walk anyways. But I guess it doesn't really matter. I just need to like go get some sink water from somewhere first, and then I guess I could maybe, if possible, I could go to my spot later and like get my shorts or whatever. But it's still like I want to go, but I don't even know how worth it really is, because it's like I'm just too anxious about trying to do normal kid stuff before like I guess like I don't know, like old or whatever. But the reality is that I'm probably gonna end up being like Larry Clark in the end. I'll probably make a movie dedicated to the movie Kids, and I'll make a movie dedicated to what was that called? Crap, I don't even remember. What was it like? I know there was Ken Park. I think that was Larry Clark, or at least that was Harmony Korine, but he was 19 when he directed most of those anyways, I think. So yeah, I don't know. I'm probably gonna become Larry Clark. I feel like that's what's gonna happen in the end. But I know somebody had compared me to some guy whose name I can't remember, who like he would go to skate parks and he was always talking about how he didn't like people 40 plus. But I mean, I never wanted to live anywhere near that long anyways. I didn't expect to live as long as I've been alive, and I don't even want to live in my 20s. I don't want to live to like I mean I didn't want to live to 16, but I guess that's kind of whatever at this point. So anywho, like, it's not even really that I ever feared getting older. I just didn't want to live long. It's just going through more hell and chaos and probably becoming cold-hearted. And then I think about what that one boy said when he was like, "You're not old, you're not even in your 20s." But it's like, I've been old, but I mean, that really depends on the person, whether I'm quote-unquote old or not, because all that stuff is really biased, but I'm not going to go back into that. But anywho, the guy was saying that like I'm going to end up hanging myself because I hate middle-aged and older people, but I don't. It's not that I hate them. It's just that like most people, especially in that age range, typically are just like abusive and toxic, or they're sexual predators. There's younger ones too, but like I've always noticed those issues with people in that age range even before I was double digits. So yeah, and then like in certain places it's worse than others. Like it, and it's really interesting because like nobody wants to get with me with people that are 40 to 80, but I'd be lucky if I could find someone who's like, crap, if I could find someone younger than 30, well, nah, 17 to like 20 maybe, who wants to get with me. But like the few times that I have really been around people my age, like the past couple years, especially because I'm really underdeveloped anyways, but then like there's always somebody who's 40 to 80 who wants to get with me, and I wouldn't even, crap, definitely not 80. I don't even like dating people though, that's another thing. I don't really like any of that stuff. I probably never will either. I never have dated anybody before, and I'm getting the idea that I never should if I get the option, and I probably never will get the option. Not for anyone under 75, probably. And so, I guess that's a summary. And I guess I could title this, crap. What could I title this? Maybe, like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll think about it. But one thing that I think I forgot, though, because there was something else I wanted to say about stranded trauma. Oh, yeah, okay, I remember. So, emotional flashbacks are one of the parts of CPTSD, and it's definitely nothing new to me. But I can definitely say that I feel like the stranded trauma are just like being in situations where I need help with like something basic, but I just can't get it from like anybody. Like even if it's just carrying something, all that is really emotional flashbacky. But I feel like how else could I put it? I don't know. This is already pretty long.